Good morning, Children's Church. I want to first announce the winner of this last week. Answering the questions, sending them in. Today's winner is Lydia Knott. So congratulations, Lydia. Also, Lydia and Isaac Byer and Jackson, Pastor Mike will be hand delivering your gift cards today. So be expecting him. Today is Sunday. So if you watch this after Sunday, you probably already have them. So let's get started on our story. Rainbow Garden, Elaine's Search for Joy. Let's get started. So the next morning, when Elaine woke up, she thought that the whole situation with the flowers and the candy, I'm so glad that situation's over. It will never be brought up. And she really thought that that Janet would be mad at her. But they woke up, and the next day just happened to be a Sunday. And she didn't realize it, but on Sunday, the Owens went to church. Oh, she wanted to sleep in, but they got her up for church. And as they went downstairs to have breakfast and get ready, Frances, who was Janet's little sister, who had put the candy and the flowers on the bed, leaned in to Elaine and whispered, "Did you get it? Did you like it?" And Elaine thought, "What? Did I get what?" And she said, "Did you get the candy and the flowers? Did you like them?" And Elaine responded, "Oh, yeah, I got them. Thanks." And you could see in Frances' face a little bit of disappointment because she was expecting a different outcome. She was hoping that Elaine loved the flowers and loved the candy. So then they go off to church, and the family took up a whole pew themselves. They had so many people, and when Elaine walked into church, she was really uncomfortable. She thought, "Oh, these people probably think that I'm just an orphan kid." And then, Elaine, she kind of has a bad attitude. She said, I'm really rich, and these people just don't know it. I'm going to show them that I'm just an orphan kid, that I'm a rich kid, and I'm richer than all of them are. And that was her attitude. Well, when the service was over, Elaine walked as quickly as she could down the aisle, and she hurried out the door. She was so eager to get out of church. Well, once she got outside, she ran kind of away from the building, and she realized that she was standing in a graveyard, that there were tombstones all around her. And she read down on one of the tombstones, it said, David Davies, 1710 to 1780. And she thought, wow, this person's been dead for a long time. And as she tried to read the words on the bottom here, it said in, and then some words that were not legible. They were kind of old and kind of yuckied up. And the bottom it said fullness of joy. And those words just jumped out to her, fullness of joy. Oh, she wished she could know what these two words were. In, fullness of joy. What did it mean? And right away, the Bible reading that she had heard just her first day there, when they talked about joy and being full of joy, and she thought, oh, I've got to find out more about joy and what this could mean. She was so excited. She really wanted to find out more about this joy she kept hearing about. Well, it rained most of the day, and Elaine discovered that not only do the Owens go to church on Sunday morning, but they also go to like a Sunday evening church, which they call Sunday school. And so in the afternoon, though, they were allowed to have free time, which was time that they could do what they wanted, read a book, color, do things that were quiet. And so that's what they were doing. And Elaine thought, oh, this is boring and tiresome. My goodness, this is not the day I planned. So they were doing their free time, and Elaine was sitting close to a window. And she was sitting out watching the window, watching outside, and she saw the sun start to shine in through the raindrops. So she's watching outside, and all of a sudden her eye was caught by a rainbow. It was the brightest, most beautiful rainbow that Elaine had ever seen. No one else in the room had seen this rainbow. They were too busy doing their own thing, but Elaine saw it. So quietly, as to not disturb anyone else, she didn't even want anyone to know that she was going outside. She went and put rain boots on, and she slipped out of the house. Elaine had heard stories about treasures being at the end of rainbows, and she thought, this is my rainbow. I don't want anyone else to see it. I don't want anyone else to know about it. And she said, I'm going to go find the treasure at the end. So she walked up a hill to where she thought the end of the rainbow was. And when she got up the hill, she found a house. It was kind of, it looked like an old house. It was on the other side of this old stone wall, and there was a gate to get in. And Elaine thought, I've got to go see this house. And it looked like there was a garden there, overgrown garden, but yet a garden. And she went to the gate and she tried to open it, but it was locked. So she pressed her face and she looked through the cracks of the gate and decided she had to climb over it and figure out what was there. So she climbed over and she peered through the windows, and she could tell that nobody lived there. If they had lived there, they'd been gone for a really long time. There were cobwebs and dust, and you could tell that no one was there. And by this time, the rainbow had gone. She had honestly kind of forgotten about the rainbow, and she saw this garden, which she could picture in her mind was once a beautiful garden. But now the weeds were there. It was very overgrown. And then she peered through the house. The house was empty, and she then said to herself again, this will be my garden. She said, I will not tell anyone about this garden. It will just be mine. And as she's talking and thinking about what her garden could be and how she'll keep it a secret from everyone else, she heard someone coming. And she looked over, and she could see an older gentleman. He was wearing raggedy, torn, dirty clothes, and his face was very, very pale. It was covered with whiskers, but it was still very, very pale. And Elaine saw him, and he was climbing over the gate. And he did not see Elaine. And she thought, she waited to see what this man was going to do. Elaine thought the man looked scary, but when she first talked to him, he seemed pleasant, and he had a nice, pleasant voice, and he says, "How do you do? Is there anyone home?" And Elaine said, "I don't think so. I think it's an empty house. Either no one lives here or they're already gone away." "Then, what are you doing here?" said the man. And this time, he didn't say it in a very nice voice. And Elaine said the first thing that came to her mind, which was a lie. She said, I take care of this garden." And he said, "Oh, you do?" And the man gave her a funny look because the weeds were all growing around, and it was obvious that no one was taking care of the garden. He said, "Do you come here every day?" "Oh, no," Elaine replied. "I only come on Saturdays and Sundays. That's it. I will be coming Saturday and Sunday. I actually haven't started taking care of the garden yet, but I will." And then she said, "I'll only be doing it on the weekends because I'll be going to school during the week." And never for a moment did Elaine hesitate with this lie. She was quite a good liar. Lies never bothered her, and she lied quite often. And so she lied to this gentleman and told her, "I take care of the garden." "Well, if there's no one home, there's no use in staying any longer," said the man. And he walked back to the gate and he climbed back over where he had entered. Elaine again noticed how pale he was, even with all his whiskers, and he looked very poor, and his clothes were dirty and had some holes in them. And she noticed that his eyes, there was something about his eyes that looked kind of evil, and he would always pull his cap down almost to hide his evil eyes. Well, once he was gone, Elaine was glad. Her legs almost felt weak because she was scared by the man, but she managed to head home, and she got home, and the children had already left for Sunday school. And Mrs. Owens said, where have you been, Elaine? And at first she thought, I'm just going to tell her that I've been out walking. I'm not going to tell her where I've been. But when she got home, something in her decided to tell Mrs. Owen the truth. So she said, Mrs. Owen, I was out following a rainbow, and I came across a house that no one lives in, and there's a garden and a beautiful gate. And she said, Mrs. Owen, can that be my secret? Can that just be my place that I like to go to be alone and work in the garden? And for a moment, Miss Owen thought, sometimes when you're a kid, it's kind of fun to have secrets. It's kind of fun to have something that just you know or just you have. There's a joy in that when you're a kid. And Mrs. Owen knew that, she was in a new home away from her mom. This was a strange place, and that maybe Elaine could use some kind of something just to spark a little joy in her. So she said, sure, this can be your secret. And this can be yours, but you have to always tell me when you're going to the garden so that I know where you are. But we won't tell anybody else. So that's where we end off with our lesson for today. And we're going to find out more about what happens. I was thinking, I wonder if some of the other kids find out about the garden. Maybe that will upset Elaine, because I know she really wants it to be a secret. I also thought to myself, I wonder if she'll fix up the garden and it will become a beautiful place. I don't know. So we'll have to wait and find out next week what else happens with Elaine. And if she ever really does find that true joy she's looking for. So thank you so much, boys and girls. Make sure you answer the questions and get them sent to Pastor Mike. And we'll do another drawing next week. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a good day.